Welcome back, reInvent 2023 here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I am your host, Kyle Dickinson, your friendly security solution architect that focuses on threat detection and incident response. And I am joined by my friend, Adrian.
No, not a friendly security expert. Not a security expert, though I used to be at some point.
Not friendly at all.
Not friendly at all. I mean, I got to be complete opposite. I'm a principal partner, enterprise architect here at AWS, working with strategic partners, but happy to be here alongside you, man.
Oh, I love it. And we're going to be talking about something that is near and dear to my heart, not only just security, but Inspector.
Okay.
Inspector. And we are joined by our Inspector friend. Inspector friend, please introduce yourselves to our lovely crowd and what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, I'm Kashish. I lead product management for all our vulnerability-related services, including Amazon Inspector, Security Hub, Cloud Security Posture Management, and Amazon VC.
So if you were at a dinner table with family that doesn't understand what cloud things are, how would you describe Inspector in less than 20 words?
Basically, you have to keep your house safe. And how you do it? Keep your doors locked, keep your windows enforced. That's it.
Close to 20.
That's pretty good.
That's very good. All right. So what are we announcing today?
So in the last week, or in the first few days of reInvent, we have launched 2 features within Inspector. The first one is Agentless Scanning of EC2 instances, which we will cover in a minute.
Agentless scanning of EC2 instances.
Yep.
No way.
Agentless,
really.
really.
So as someone that used to be responsible for endpoint detection, being like sensor coverage, agent deployment has always been not, I wouldn't say problematic, but a very administrative task that would take up a lot of time.
Yep. Right. You asked why I was not friendly. This is exactly why. Having to get agents deployed to everything, and it's off, and it's not the right version, and SMTP isn't working.
Yeah, or internet connectivity. It doesn't have internet connectivity. What about that? Then how's it going to beacon out to your console, right?
Got to drive an hour and a half to go plug it back in.
Now, you said that was one release. Is there another?
The other one is we now provide Gen AI-assisted code remediations for our Lambda code scanning findings.
So instead of just saying, hey, you got a problem, it's going to tell you how to fix it?
Yeah, we give the code patch so that developers can just literally click copy and paste it in their code. That's it.
Will this make you like security?
It does make me like security. It also reminds me of a song that says, hey, yo, you got a problem, I'll solve it. It's exactly
Turn out Inspector while the Gen AI resolves it.
There you go. I like it, man.
We should create a bed party rock app about parodies. Actually, you know what? That's already created. Joe told me about it already.
Well, we tried.
So I know that you got a lot of stuff to show us. I want to give you plenty of time to show us this awesome stuff. So let's go ahead and bring up your screen.
Yeah.
Through the power of magic, bippity boppity screen share. There we go.
That's pretty good.
I've been working on my timing lately, okay? So what are we looking at right now?
So right now it's the Inspector dashboard, like the main dashboard where customers can see everything, like how many findings, critical findings they have, and then they can deep dive into each of the resources. Currently, Inspector supports 3 resources. The first one is EC2 instances, then container images residing in ECR, which is Elastic Container Registry, and Lambda functions.
Yes. All right. So, and then also, correct me if I'm wrong, this could also be an aggregated view if you have this set up as a delegated administrator?
Correct.
Okay. So this is your, your comprehensive view of your environment through your AWS organization for your individuals that are responsible for vulnerability management and all the things to understand the risk that is introduced to your environment.
Correct.
Okay, so let's go ahead and look at something new and fun. Shiny toys.
Yeah. So the first thing that we talked about was agentless scanning of EC2 instances. Let me go here. In EC2 settings, the delegated admin account can set up that configure this setting for all of their accounts, all the member accounts. And they can just simply go here and press edit. Now you can see there are 2 modes, hybrid and agent-based only. So up until like Sunday evening, we only supported agent-based, which is based on SSM agents, which is Systems Manager Agent. So if a customer has System Manager Agent installed and configured, Inspector used to use SSM to collect application inventory, and then use it to kind of scan the inventory and generate software vulnerabilities. Now we introduced hybrid mode. Like you mentioned, deploying an agent is hard. It takes time. Sometimes it just stops working, right?
Yeah.
Now with hybrid mode, what we have done is we have taken an approach where automatically, in a seamless fashion, If and when agent is not working or misconfigured, for some reason you don't want to deploy an agent, it will automatically fall back on agentless.
Oh.
So it's not purely agentless, but we are giving customers the flexibility and seamless transition. As soon as they click on hybrid, press save, then they can go into resource coverage, and within instances, here you can see which of my instances are scanned based on using agent-based and which are agent.
Am very, very interested in, and what I talk to you about customers all the time is monitoring the monitoring systems, right?
Ah, yeah.
Right.
And understanding, is there a delta in your coverage or sensors? This helps you understand what is your sensor coverage looking like compared to your asset inventory.
Exactly. So like day until Sunday, we used to show here what the status is. If it is not actively monitored, it would say SSM unmanaged, which means the instance is not managed by SSM. Now, automatically, since it falls back, and here you can see the coverage, it's always 100% now. For most customers, there used to be at least 15 to 20% delta.
Yeah.
Now they get coverage across all of their EC2 fleet.
And I feel like one of the common things also is when you go from one vulnerability management solution to another, and you have existing infrastructure,
Yeah.
how and where do you start to replace that sensor coverage?
Exactly.
That could be it's a daunting task.
Yeah.
It's not fun. I have been there. I
Yeah.
could sympathize, my friends. Been there, done that. This is, oh my gosh, where were you?
Yeah, where were you like
where-
20 years ago in the knock in the data center?
All right, so you showed us agentless
Yep.
and agent-based. What else is there anything else you want to show us about this agentless scanning? Because when I would think of agentless and vulnerability management, it was typically associated with like maybe unauthenticated network scan or something that would not necessarily show you host-based like CVEs, but just like, oh, hey, there's an open port on SSH and HTTP, and then there's this random custom port that's open.
Yeah. So unauthenticated scans are good. They are required by PCI and others, but they're not very deep, as so to speak. It doesn't go deep inside. So how we work is we take a snapshot of EBS, of the EBS volume, like Elastic Block Storage volume, and then we use EBS direct APIs, and using NBD mount utility, we only copy the data blocks that has that app software installed. So we don't copy the whole data blocks, like the whole data volume on our side to kind of mount it on the EC2 instance again. That's not what we do. We essentially only copy the data blocks that we need, and so far, based on our testing, we copy about only 15%. So that makes it cheaper for everyone, including us, customers, and then we are not copying their volumes on our side, so that also helps them comply with regulations, especially the financial, healthcare, where they don't want their data going outside their, their accounts.
Right. So you mentioned that it takes a copy of an EBS volume.
Snapshots of the volume.
Snapshot of the EBS volume, and then does the scan there. So am I fair to say that it's not actually going to be impacting the performance of the running EC2 instance?
Correct. It won't impact the performance of the EC2 instance. We are able to go, like scan the entire file system now. Because it doesn't have an agent, it doesn't have any performance impacts on the instance, so you can run it on your most critical, like instances that are hosting critical applications, or even legacy applications. Like a lot of the times, you can't even deploy an agent. It's not about you not wanting to, you just can't. So things like that, there is no performance impact, and you can just, use agentless on that.
When you were in security, Adrian, how many times were you blamed for installing an agent and then, oh, our performance has been impacted?
Every single time.
I was that guy.
Yeah, I was
so
the guy
many times.
sitting there, minding my own business, doing my thing, maybe watching early YouTube videos, who knows. Get the notification, hey, prod SQL is starting to have an issue because you installed that monitoring thing, or you ran a Nessus scan, or hey, what are you doing because it needs to stop because you're affecting the thing. Every single time.
That's so awesome that incredible.
Yeah.
Now, developers, I'm sure you're going to love this part even more because security may come up to you and say, hey, you know what, there's some issue with your code, you're introducing unnecessary risk. And then where do you start and how to fix it? And that's where you said where the new Lambda code scanning feature comes into play.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, so let me give you like a background of what we do with Lambda functions.
Yes, please.
And in account management, if you look at it, we offer two types of Lambda scanning. One is Lambda standard scanning, and another one is Lambda code scanning. So if you look at any Lambda function, there are some dependencies that are added as a part of any function. So if you're looking for CVEs or software vulnerabilities in those dependencies, that's covered by a standard. But there's always the code that you write. As a developer, the application code, the business logic that you write, that is covered by code scanning. So think about introducing vulnerabilities like injection flaws, or you hard code credentials, or things like that. Those are covered by code scanning. Now with this launch, what we have done is, if we look at again resource coverage in Lambda functions, here you can see the coverage of what we cover with standard scanning and what we are covering with code scanning. And if you click on this, you can see all the issues like insecure cryptography, for example. Now here, up until Sunday, we used to give all the information like vulnerability location. So this is the exact line where the vulnerability was introduced and things like that. Now with the new feature that we launched with GenAI, or GenAI assisted code remediations, you can see that we are telling customers why do they need to fix what was identified first. But also if you look at the code, we also provide the code now. Like this is what you need to remove and this is what you need to add, and you can just click download here to get the code and just paste it in your
Sorry, I'm laughing because it's just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, no more Googling, no more like crawling Stack Overflow.
I mean,
no
I can't
more,
tell you how many times just, in my career as a security person that I've had to just present, hey, this is not doing well, but I'm not a developer, I'm not a programmer, I don't know how to tell you how to fix it, but the scanner is saying, hey, this can potentially, impose something bad to our environment. And now I could be the hero of the day. Or actually, you know what? Even shifting security to the left, it's a feedback loop for understanding the risk that's associated with code that's getting pushed to Lambda.
Yeah, absolutely. And the great, for me personally, quite selfishly, the wonderful thing here is it removes the friction from different teams on how to get things done. And if you're a service provider or otherwise internally trying to transform IT and ops as a cost center, this is, hey, we already did the hard work for you. Let's work together, define what your maintenance period is going to look like, go and do the things so we can avoid all of this nastiness that was found in the CVE. It completely changes the narrative, and it changes the way that you work and interact with these teams in a way that, would have been great 20 years ago if I had that.
That's very impressive. That is so cool. And for those that are joining us, we're talking about Inspector and the two new feature releases about EC2 Agentless Scanning for vulnerability management, but also code scanning on Lambda functions and how we can resolve risk associated with those Lambda functions using Inspector. This helps provide, so I have a huge, I wouldn't say huge analogy, but I use an analogy of transforming the security mindset or mental model behind security of how it can be proactive enablers or going from bouncer to bodyguard. Instead of saying, no, 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 we say, hey, we'll run with you. And if something is wrong, we'll help you fix that. But also with this is showing how they can do a best practice. Is there any particular languages that you would say like Lambda, that doesn't support all the different
Yeah, so we support Python, Node.js, Java, all the popular ones, and we are continuously adding more and more language support. And our goal is to support pretty much all languages by early next year. I do want to call out that we use the same engine that Code Whisperer uses also, so that customers sees consistency in IDEs and in Inspector, so it's like a consistent behavior all across.
And so for Code Whisperer, that would let you know during the security scan before you even like push the code to the environment. Hey, you got hard-coded creds.
Yeah.
And but then if something didn't pick that up for whatever reason, it's almost like we're talking defense in depth.
Yeah.
Oh.
Foreign concept. We talk about it a lot, so much that we just kind of become numb to it. And now that it's automated, it becomes table stakes at this point.
Yeah, this is so impressive. So how do you opt into enabling this for like existing Lambda functions that are out there?
So for existing customers, they literally don't need to do anything. This
Really?
section was existing, suggested remediation was already there. Now they just get more code fixes or code patches, like we say, right out of the box. They don't need to take any action for this. So that's the best part. It just, they don't need to do anything for it.
Now, with all things, when it comes to code changes, test it first before you promote it to production, right?
No, just do it live. See what happens.
I could understand why you didn't like security.
Yeah. It's one thing to be the person that's constantly blamed for it and never remembered when you fix the thing. But no, yeah, it's the running gag. The running gag in my circle of friends as well as on my team. It just seems like I've worn so many hats, and that's the one hat I didn't enjoy wearing the most because the stakes were so high. You really could not afford to get it wrong, and effectively with this running sidecar, running buddy, shotgun, bodyguard, like you mentioned, the amount of stress, the amount of exposure in the failure domain starts to shrink a little more because you have that proactive help right alongside you.
And that there's no performance impact to EC2 instances when you say, because there comes a point in time, let's be real, that there are too many agents installed on a operating system before you start to impact performance.
Right.
Or, they all start scanning at the same time, Now, say for example, for the agentless based scanning, if someone wanted to start opting in and using that immediately, what could they do? Or what would be a good strategy to start kind of rolling that out to an environment?
So a lot of our customers already have SSM agents deployed. And for them, it's literally one-click enablement like I showed here before. All they have to do is activate EC2 scanning, and that's about it.
Wow.
And by default, I do want to call out the agentless scanning is in preview right now, paid public preview. So once we make it GA, hybrid mode will be the default mode. So customers literally get 100% coverage right out of the box.
And SSM comes pre-baked with a handful of supported AMIs.
Yeah.
And for those that don't have it pre-baked into that AMI, so AMI being an Amazon machine image, it's what you use to deploy an EC2 instance.
Yep.
You can install it on your own flavor of operating system that you select to deploy from using something like EC2 Image Builder. So, but it's still leveraging the SSM agent. You're not installing an additional agent to make this function.
Correct.
So the agent reduction is still there. You just might need to, add a little panache to your environment because you have a unique way of deploying EC2 instances.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
It's going to become the default.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the best part. Like most of our customers already have SSM agents deployed to most of their environment. It's the delta, the last 15 to 20%. Like we are working with our biggest customers to get them to 100% like vulnerability coverage for their 100% of the fleet. That is what it's the last home stretch, which was like they had to report to their board that they are not able to get there, just because there are legacy applications. There's hard to deploy agents, or it's just taking time because typically application teams have to go and install these agents. They already have so much coding to do, then they have to maintain it. It's just getting to that final stretch is becoming harder and harder. And that is where Agentless kicks in, where they get the best value out of it, and while using agents where they want to.
Yeah, and because it is Inspector and it integrates to Security Hub, you can use automated actions. And we actually, not too long ago, during the month of October, did a deep dive on automating vulnerability management and patching, like out-of-band patches for critical vulnerabilities that get floated to the top on AWS OnAir Lockdown. So if you want to check that out, check out AWS's OnAir page. So you get the inspector you know and love with extended functionalities to make management and sensor coverage much easier. But then also, hey, you got some code that is just acting goofy. This is how you can fix it. And you said it's using generative AI.
Yeah, it's both using generative AI and automated reasoning.
Okay.
So we use a combination of both to get the best thing that we know is best for the customer. The models have been trained on billions of lines of code that AWS writes. So it has been trained on that. So it provides the best in class
Oh man, that's so awesome. All right, so before we run out of time, if you're here at reInvent or at home, how can someone get their hands on or understand more information about this?
So we do offer a 15-day free trial for all features, all accounts for Inspector. You can visit Inspector through the Amazon or AWS Management Console. Just type Amazon Inspector, or you can just Google Amazon Inspector, and that's the first link you will get.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
I love it. Security is awesome. Even though Adrian might not think so. Stay tuned for more awesome stuff. reInvent 2023.
I think a lot of things are awesome, and security is starting to sound real good again.